The message today is entitled Freedom for the Captives. When Jesus came to this earth and he announced himself publicly, one of the first things he did is he said, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he's anointed me to proclaim several things." And one of those was freedom to the captives. Jesus came to announce freedom to the captives. And we're going to take a look really quickly at the American penny, the United States penny. Go ahead and take a look. As you can see, it says, "In God we trust." Thank God for that. And we see Abraham Lincoln's portrait there being a symbol of what? The word next to him, liberty. He's a symbol of freedom because of what he did as president as far as freeing slaves that were in the United States, captive, behind wrong policies, and in the hands of captors. And so he was instrumental in the war in the United States, the Civil War, to free slaves. And he issued at one point in January 1st, 1863, we can take a look at the Emancipation Proclamation screen. You see that? That's where he declared all peoples, that's male, man, woman, child, etc., free, henceforth and forever free. Okay, Emancipation Proclamation, 1963. But how many of you guys have heard of Juneteenth, the holiday celebration? Juneteenth. It started as a Texas holiday. Now it's celebrated even outside the United States. You can see on the screen, Juneteenth. You see the chain being broken and the birds flying away on the top, symbolizing freedom. This was actually 1865, June 19th, when the Juneteenth celebration began. Now, what's the difference between the two? Let's look at, we'll go on with the next Juneteenth slide. There's a couple more there. And I think those are the three, yep. And so the reason why I show those is because there's a difference between the original freeing of the slaves, Emancipation Proclamation, and the celebration of Juneteenth. Why does that matter to us today? Let's look at the book of John, chapter 8, starting at verse 31. I want to thank you for plugging into the Word of God today and choosing to sit and hear the truth. Because Jesus said it's the truth that sets us free. So you see here, Jesus said to those Jews, of course it's speaking in context of Judeans. He was in Judea at the time. He was a Jew, the way we talk today. But at that time he was in Judea. All the disciples were Jewish. And the Judeans believed on, the ones that believed on him, he said, "If you continue in my word, then you're my disciples indeed." Next verse. "And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." And let's go on to the next. They answered, "Okay, we're Abraham's seed," and we'll go to the next one. And they kind of argued with him. They just didn't want to admit that they had a need to become free. You know, humans get that way sometimes. We get into a mental rut there, right? But the truth is, even if you're free, which you are, you need to know about it in order to experience it. So we see verse 34. Jesus answered them, "Truly, truly, I say to you, whoever commits sin is the servant or slave to sin." He's getting to the root of the problem now for humanity. It's not about the Romans. It's not about, for the Jewish people at that time. It's not about the politics of the day. If you're free or a slave in that regard, he's talking about the real deal here. And then we look at verse 35. "And the servant, abides not in the house forever, but the son abides forever." Next verse. "If," now this is a beautiful if, because the fact is he did. "If the Son therefore shall make you free, you shall be free indeed." He was proclaiming his authority as the Son in the house to set everybody else free and give them a status of permanence in his house forever. And so he said, if I do it, you're going to be free truly, not just physically. How many of you guys are free politically right now? Thank God, But Jesus wanted them free in the heart and in our life. So he said, if I do it, it's really done. It's a surgery down to the roots, the heavenly scalpel that takes care of the inner being. Now, he said all that. Notice there's two freedoms there. The Son sets you free, and the truth sets you free, makes you free. So what that means is when Jesus died, he was actually setting free all of humanity, whether the people knew it or not. Just like when Abraham Lincoln said, I henceforth declare, first they had to fight a war, there was bloodshed, and Jesus did have to die for this freedom for us. But then he issued the proclamation, I henceforth declare all people free from this day forth, henceforth forever. That's great, but you got to know about it. 2 years later or so, in Texas, Galveston, Texas, June 19th, 1865, it was declared and proclaimed by a governor of Galveston, I believe it was. He stood up and said, you're actually free. You didn't know it, you're free. And when he said it, now you see the chains bursting. You see those pictures that I showed you, those images, because the freedom that was already theirs got down to them. It got to right where they are, into their heart, into their mind, and they could stand up and walk out of the captivity they were in. Is that good news?